Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Sandy, and we're two Tenderfoot tourists. Welcome to episode 77, the one about another Tenderfoot tourist Q&A. Hey Steve, guess what I just did?
What'd you do?
I bought our season passes for 2019 to Silver Dollar City.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I know, we debated back and forth so much with the fact that I'm going to be having a shoulder surgery and that's going to put me down for a little while, but there's no stopping us.
Well, except for the first week after it opens. I was just saying.
Rub a little salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Rub a little salt in the wound.
What did you say? It was 2 days after your surgery?
Yeah. I'm going to have surgery on March 11th, and they're opening on March 13th. So, Yay.
So, just to give everyone out there who's listening a heads up, Sandy will not be in the sound studio. Hopefully, we can get a substitute maybe to come in and take your place for a little bit.
We might try Jason. Jason's such a great guy, and he would love to talk some roller coasters during that time, I'm sure.
That would probably be a good time. I've been wanting to have him back in the studio anyway.
Well, and maybe you guys could go down to Silver Dollar City.
Maybe we will. But Silver Dollar City, you know what? As the episode title suggests, is we have a lot of questions that are being asked about certain places that we enjoy, and one of which is Branson and also Silver Dollar City.
Of course.
So we can start off right now with Branson Landing, some questions that were asked. The one question I thought was really good because you don't even think about this sort of thing. Is it a pet-friendly mall?
Yeah. Now, see, what's funny about that is we've been down there in, I don't know what they call it, I call it dog days, where there's a ton of people walking their pets.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know what? I can't remember if I have seen their dogs inside the stores. So I'm really glad somebody asked this question because this is something that I want to know because we have a great dog.
We do. In fact, there's only one store out of the entire mall that allows for a dog.
That's right. And I shouldn't have been surprised which one because we take him to the one in Springfield, Bass Pro.
Time. Yeah, Bass Pro. Yeah, you can take your pet down there, that's for sure.
We've talked about doing it and walking him around down there. Knowing now that we couldn't take him in out of the heat any other than Bass Pro, I'm thinking we probably will avoid doing that.
Yeah, unless you have a service animal or something like that. The other thing is there's restaurants down there, and you can't take your pet into the restaurant either. So those are things to consider if you decide to take your pet down there.
If you think about it, it makes sense because a lot of those places do sell food. So
right, exactly.
And I don't think anybody wants to take a chance on pet pottying on the floor.
Yeah, that would, and they do provide little doggy poo.
Oh, they have the little pickup dispenser things?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They have them all over the place. So right there, and if you're literally being observant.
Poo-poo bags.
Yes. You have a way of disposing of the excrement. That's a big word.
That's fancy. What's it? A top shelf word.
Yes, it's a top shelf. Excrement is a top shelf. Okay, so another question someone had asked is, what times are the water and fire show? You know, the big fountain at the middle of it?
Yeah, I love that. I think it is so cool.
Easy answer is it's every day, every hour, on the hour. That's the answer to that question. Unless there's, like, they're doing maintenance or something.
Yeah, I thought for sure that during the, what was it, Brews Barbecue.
Oh, they would have shut it off or something?
I would have thought they'd shut it off, but they didn't. We were sitting there and we'd get sprayed with water or fire would shoot up all of a sudden. Frankly, it was quite cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. But yeah, they do that. I thought that was a good question.
You said doo-doo.
Yeah, I did say doo-doo. What's another question?
Stick with Branson Landing if you have more for them.
I do. Actually, I have one more, and I thought it was a really good one because it's something that you and I asked. Is there free parking at the Branson Landing?
Right.
Yes.
We knew the part about the free parking, which is exceptional. I really thought they'd charge for parking.
Yes.
Because, it's such a draw. The place is really popular.
They're busy all the time, all year around. I can't think of one place in Branson that you have to pay for your parking.
I'm sure it probably exists, but I haven't found it.
If you probably have it, it's probably going to be at a hotel.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that I've ever seen. We may be crazy. Correct us if we are.
Yeah, if you know the answer, that if there is some hotels or resorts that are in the Branson area, let us know that you have to pay for parking.
Right, because most of the hotels nowadays, they're turning to that. They're having you pay for their parking garage and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that would be really interesting to know. That would be an upside to Branson because in our past podcast that we talked about Branson, we talked about the fact that pretty much everything costs something and that it's not cheap. But this would be a perk. if it is the case, if that is the case, that they don't charge for parking.
Right.
Very cool.
So that right there makes Branson even more affordable place to go for vacation.
So what's next?
Well, that's about it for the Branson Landing. Now,
not to one of our favorite places.
Ah, yes. We started off talking about this place at the beginning of the podcast. It's Silver Dollar City. There were some good questions, and I think we've covered some of these in an earlier podcast, but it doesn't hurt to actually mention these. These questions do come up frequently, especially if a person's not familiar,
right,
or they're first timers to Silver Dollar City. The first question is, can you bring water bottles in? Yes.
Yes.
We did it all the time.
They encourage you to bring water in, actually, because they know they want you to stay hydrated.
Right. But also, good thing is if you have a souvenir cup and you bring it in, they will fill your souvenir cup up with water for free.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to have one of each year they have a souvenir cup they sell, and for that entire year you get discounted drinks in it. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
for that season.
Right. Just for that season. You don't have to have one of that year to get water. You just need a cup. They're going to give you water.
Which kind of leads into the second question is, do you buy a new cup every season to get refills? No.
You can keep carrying the same ones. You just don't get the discount.
You just don't get the discount. You have to buy the one for that year. Now, there is a retro sort of thing. In 2011, they ended that.
They used to have them where if you bought them, lifers.
Yeah.
You were always free refills or discounted refills?
Discounted refills.
Yeah, discounted refills. But they soon realized they were losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they made it a yearly thing. I honestly think that they ought to kind of make it a 5-year thing or something, a special deal, maybe on your season pass or something.
Yeah.
But because 1 year, considering how much you pay for a cup, makes me sad.
It really does. It does.
Cheap.
Yeah, because, what do we pay, per cup, would you say? It was like $15 for a cup?
I was going to say 15 or 20. I think it was maybe 17-something.
17-something, yeah.
I can't remember. We'll let you know because I'm sure we'll do it again.
But every refill is like $1.50, I think.
It's a lot better price. I know that we will do it again, at least get one. We'll probably just get one this time because I think that was smarter.
Yes.
But
and we share it.
Yeah, we share anyway most of the time, and we neither one want to carry it the whole time, so we trade back and forth, so it works out really well.
And we always drink water anyway.
We do. For the most part, we do water, and then we'll get us a soda at lunch or dinner. Or we try not to do too much soda because then we get too hot.
My hands start swelling. It's terrible.
Now I can't wear my ring.
It's terrible. But souvenir cups. One other note. If you can find a souvenir cup, you can actually find them. I've been told on eBay.
Oh, the older ones?
Yeah, older ones in eBay for like 2011 and older. You can actually bring them in, and those. They
honor those.
They still honor those, but they're very difficult to find, and I'm betting you that they're kind of expensive. Oh, the other question someone had is, are coolers allowed? And the answer is yes.
Yes, they are.
They are. You can bring in your own lunch and your own water bottles and everything like that in there. Now, remember, you're going to have to go through the checkout, so they're going to be looking through everything.
And you have to lug it around.
And you have to lug it around.
Now, that being said, what we used to do is if we were determined that we weren't going to spend money in park, what we would do is we would first of all freeze our water bottles. I think we've talked about this before, and we put them in a backpack. Yes, it's kind of heavy, but on a nice hot day, you're kind of glad to be the one carrying the frozen backpack.
Oh, yeah.
But also, we would go out to because you already have your pass. We go out to our car, we'd eat lunch, and we go back in. We'd have a cooler out there with our sandwich stuff, and we'd have chips, we'd have sodas, and that would be our big treat for the day. We'd go back in, have a good old time. Yeah. So there are lots of options rather than carrying a cooler around the whole place.
Yeah, and it gets I can't imagine, because you know what? Sometimes that park gets so crowded. Where are you going to leave it? The final question we got for Silver Dollar City is, can big people ride rides at Silver Dollar City?
That is an excellent question. We've actually had this conversation with a friend of ours, and it depends on how big the person is, for one thing.
Yes.
Because, okay, I'm not trying to be difficult, so don't be mad at me, people from the Ozarks, but we tend to eat well around here.
We're beefy.
And we like home cooking, so there's a few thick people around here. They don't build them like there's thick people around here.
No, they don't.
They really don't. most rides I can get on down there that I've tried, I don't think I've had any there actually that I can't get on, but they're kind of tight sometimes.
Right.
And you just have to kind of try it out. They have some of those seats outside, right? Of some of the rides where you could test it. That's really smart. Don't go all the way through the line and then be embarrassed or frustrated. Try out the seat outside if they've got one.
Definitely. And the thing is like the newest ride, like the Time Traveler, they do have a seat outside for you to try it out, but they say that it's not recommended for people that are over 200 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a limitation.
And I'm well above the 200-pound mark.
Even for a guy that is not just chubby, love you.
Thank you, baby.
It's easy for them to be 200 pounds if they're over 6'2".
Oh, yeah, easy.
And if they're an athletic person, they could easily be over 200 pounds. That's kind of a sad thing.
It really kind of is.
You wouldn't think they'd build it that way with the way the world is now, but it is what it is.
Well, I wonder if they're using like an average weight index, some sort of thing, like what the American on
Not for
average
the Midwest.
Is. Not for the Midwest. No, we like our.
Is this
like
California weight?
Fat and, yeah, we deep fried Twinkies around here for crying out loud.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, they have. And at Silver City, they wrap those curly potatoes all the way around a hot dog. I'm pretty sure that is not encouraging underneath 200 pounds.
And the calico hash.
Oh, good grief.
But, that is something to consider if you're coming to Silver City, that, some of the rides you may not be able to ride because of, unfortunately, just like us, we have difficulty doing that. Now, if they do allow, I notice this is me personally, like Thunderation, when that bar comes down across my stomach and my waist, it's kind of painful when you get around some of the curves.
You lift your tummy up and you lay it over the top.
I got to get my Dunlop over the what is that? The bar.
The lap bar.
Lap bar. I got to get my Dunlop over the lap bar. I kind of like that. Dunlop over the lap bar.
Okay, let's keep moving.
That
now.
Needs to be a T-shirt. How many people would buy that?
How do you ride a roller coaster? I put my Dunlop over my lap bar. Jason would love this.
Okay, so that was a good question, right? I mean, because a lot of people don't think about that. Remember where we went to Universal Studios?
Yes, and I was heavier at that point than I am now.
And we were wanting to ride the Harry Potter ride. Was it Forbidden Forest or?
It's the one inside the castle.
Yeah, I can't remember
the name of it. Which it was super cool. Just saying,
yeah.
ride it.
Totally.
But I struggled, and I cheated it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you pull that bar down and you have to get a red light or green light before you know.
If you can't get the green light, then you can't go on. Well, I figured out how to sit a certain way in the seat to make the green light come on.
Yeah.
And I did it. And that's as soon as they left me, I shifted back down in the seat the way I should. And I'm not advising that. But I did do that because I wanted to be on it because it was the first year it was open.
I know.
I had to ride it. And I was going to cry if I had to stand outside and wait.
I went through once without you.
Yeah. And you guys were like, you got to go. You got to try.
You have to go. And I really felt for you. And lastly, about Branson, Missouri, someone asked, what's new for 2019?
At Silver City.
Well, just in general.
Oh, it was just Branson.
Just Branson.
Even better. Tell me.
Well, there's a lot of things going on. In fact, they have something called the WonderWorks. It's a discovery center, science discovery center that's going in 2019. Okay, it's going to be focusing on activities for all ages. WonderWorks will offer guests over 100 hands-on activities focused on science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics with interactive exhibits about natural disasters, light, sound, space, imagination, and more. The attraction will also feature physical challenge area and exclusive to Branson location. They will have an interactive military experience. That sounds cool.
That sounds really cool. That sounds like something that Kyle and Will would have loved when they were about 17 and 18.
Right. And it also gives an exhibit that gives a nod to Branson's rich history. So there's something like that to look forward to. Also,
me. I looked through your list here. This is so fun.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Okay. This is so redneck that I love it. The Bigfoot Discovery Expedition.
Oh, you saw that. Yeah.
I did saw that. It's making me crack up. Board our 4x4 safari vehicle and join our Bigfoot research team as we search for evidence of Bigfoot in the Ozarks. You will be driven through Branson Bigfoot Farms, a working Scottish Highland cattle farm, where you will experience some of the most incredible sights in the Ozarks Mountains. I want to go.
I know, right? So these are some of the things that you can look forward to. Let me see. Samson is coming to Sight and Sound. I'm assuming it's a musical, but Samson, the play. They also they put it in here as a something new for 2019, but Fritz Adventure Iridium.
Oh my gosh.
It's Iridium.
Fritz's Adventure.
Iridium.
Say it fast.
Fritz's Adventure Iridium.
Oh, I think we passed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
They have that. Also, Silver City, speaking of Silver City, they're going to have a much larger 8-story Christmas tree this coming Christmas. So that's something for people to look.
They just announced that.
Also, they're going, Welks Resort Theater is going to have Howie Mandel this year.
Okay, I would actually go watch him. He's really funny.
He's supposed to be there May 3rd of this year, 2019.
I think we could do it for your birthday.
We could.
I'm the one that wants to go, but
Jimmy Buffett, Landshark Bar and Grill is going to be here.
There you go. You want to go there.
That's a really good beer. Let me see. Paula Deen is going to be down on the Landing.
Yes, we saw them putting that in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of anxious about that. I've been wanting to try that place.
Exactly. In fact, you can see the beginning of the construction on one of the videos we posted on YouTube at the very beginning. It's the walk-through Branson Landing video. It's about 22 minutes long, but it's fascinating. If you ever want to know what Branson Landing looks like, that's it. We start off at one parking lot, and 22 minutes later, we're down at the other end. So it is kind of neat.
It's a great video.
Then Andy B's Bowl Social is going to be there. It's adult playground, I guess, if you will. For it's going to have bumper cars. It's going to have video games. It's got food. It's got bowling. It's got all kinds of stuff there. That's supposed to be there in 2019. You got something else?
It says "Let loose and live it up."
Live it up. Let me see.
NASCAR themed Thunder Alley go kart.
Tell them about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Rumbling beneath the Timber Ridge ropes course is our Thunder Alley go-karts, designed by 2017 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion Martin Truex Jr. I think that's how you say it. I don't really know. Along with NASCAR crew chief and former stock car racing driver Cole Pern.
I hope everybody knows who these are.
I hope they do, and I hope I'm pronouncing them correctly. This one-of-a-kind... Is that quarter mile? Boy, I'm blind.
A three-quarter mile.
Three-quarter mile racetrack is called Thunder Alley to inspire participants to enjoy the great indoors. To enjoy the great outdoors in a completely unexpected way.
It sounds cool. So it's a NASCAR-themed go-kart track, which sounds awesome. I love.
Ooh. It says these NASCAR-themed design. Okay. I'm getting too excited.
Okay.
It allows you to use a boost feature twice during your ride. I know.
Simon, okay, pricing is $10
per go-kart. Okay, seriously.
I'm totally there.
How much did we pay in Alabama? $7 apiece? Yes, we paid $7 apiece for you guys to ride in. Nobody had a boost.
No. In fact, you had a tendency to wreck them.
Okay.
And run people over.
Haley did. And Jen tried to run over the poor little attendant boy.
It was like, look out!
He didn't even flinch, though. It was kind of funny. You could tell it's happened before.
And you know how we talked about weight restrictions on certain rides? This one has a weight restriction of 300 pounds. That's for a single rider. Double rider weight restriction is 550.
That's exceptional.
That is amazing to me.
That is exceptional. We definitely have to get our group and go down there and race.
Right. And then if you're a Bass Pro fan and you like golfing, Big Cedar Ozark National Golf Course are adding on an all-new course. Then there also Bass Pro Shops is going to have a shooting academy up there.
I want to go there too.
Totally want to go there. So anyway, make a long story short.
I want to shoot again. Pew, 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 pew.
I don't know if shot. Yeah, okay. I'd totally buy a gun that goes pew pew.
I totally would too, just so I could say I have my pew pew gun.
I have my pew pew. But to answer the question, yes, that's what's new in 2019 in Branson. So
a lot. To introduce a little levity to the podcast, we again bring to you words of wisdom from You Know You've Reached Middle Age if.
Martha Stewart looks pretty foxy. Huh?
I don't think so.
Where does someone come up with that?
That was definitely some levity.
That's some levity. Save Martha!
We're being kind of mean to Martha.
Poor Martha. We have so much to look forward to this year.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton.
So little time, so little money. Support Two Tenderfoot Tourist.
As we've said before, if you would like to send us to experience something for you,
We'll totally do that.
we are willing to make the sacrifice. Well, it's going to stink because I'm going to be immobile for about a month, and probably longer than that technically, but I'm going to work really hard and do what I'm told.
But the one thing that we're going to do as soon as you start to recover, towards the end of your recovery.
Right at the very end of my recovery, we're going on our cruise. And I want to snorkel.
We're looking at, hey, if anybody out there has any good recommendations for people who are noobs on the snorkeling.
Yes, we want to know what the best stuff to get for the best prices. And he has a beard.
Yeah.
So we want to know how that all works together.
Yeah, give us a write at tenderfoottourist@gmail.com or find us on Facebook and let us know there.
And I know we can rent the stuff there. We realize that. But we prefer to have our own because we'll know if it's clean or not. And I'm not saying they don't clean it. I'm just kind of like that. And
kind of a germ
we'll
thing.
know if it fits us right. And we'll know hopefully how to use it because we'll play around with it before we go. So please pass on your wisdom.
My question is how are we going to test it? We're going to use our bathtub?
We'll go borrow somebody's hot tub.
Okay.
Can you just see us down there and all of a sudden we just come up out of the water?
Thanks for letting us borrow your hot tub.
If we do that, we have to get a shark's fin and strap it on the back.
Oh, so totally going to have to do that. Okay, so what other questions do we have, Sandy?
Oh, I think we're moving on to hot springs questions, aren't we?
We love hot springs.
We did. We really loved Hot Springs, Arkansas. And quite frankly, it was totally different than anything else we've ever done.
Oh, by leaps and bounds.
So it made it so special. And it was sweet and romantic. You did it for me, and it was a surprise. But that's not what the question was about. I'm a little spastic today.
Yeah?
Okay. The first question was, how hot is the water in hot springs?
That's a good question.
It's a great question. They say the average temperature for the hot spring water as it's emerging is approximately 143 degrees Fahrenheit or 62 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
143 degrees. That makes sense because when you were sticking your hand in it, you were talking about the fact that you could touch it.
Yeah.
And you were okay, but you wouldn't want to hold your hand in it very long. Totally makes sense.
It's right there at that threshold of whatever it is you can tolerate.
It's like,
just a little too much. And the cool thing about it is, if you ever go down, if you haven't been already, a lot of people anticipate it smelling like sulfur all over the place. There's not even so much as a whiff of sulfur because it's not volcanic.
Right. We were assuming it was volcanic, and we got taught.
And if you want to know more about our time in Hot Springs, Arkansas, go to episode 66 and 65 or 67. It's a 2-part episode. I know it's 66 is one of them.
Right.
Go back there and listen to our 2-part episode. We talk about great food you can have there. We talk about the hotel we stayed in.
We talked about the history of it.
History. I mean, the place is amazing. So well worth a weekend getaway. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely. Another question they had about hot springs was how much hot spring water emerges each day.
Ooh, you have the answer to that?
A lot.
Okay, there's your answer. Now next.
They're actually saying that it's approximately 700,000 gallons collected each day in the hot spring water reservoir.
Maybe that's a lot, but I thought more was that.
Well, and I don't know how they're
gallons.
measuring that because you've got it coming out of all these different places. And, I mean, people filling up at these different spots because you can fill up for free.
That's awesome.
So I don't know how they measured that, but that's what they say. You know what I say to that?
What?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next question.
Next question. Is this still Hot Springs?
It is.
Oh, I love Hot Springs.
People really like to learn about hot springs.
Yes.
Where do the hot springs emerge?
Oh, in Hot Springs.
It's really interesting because you wonder if they come out all over the place around that area. But the hot springs actually emerge on Hot Springs Mountain on the western slope. They emerge through a fault and do not occur anywhere else in the park except in the downtown hot springs part of the park.
Now, there's some interesting historical fact, and that's fascinating. At one time, because of the fact that they were trying to capitalize on those, what they did was they capped a lot of them off. And they were trying to charge people from actually to using them. But if you go to some of them, in fact, I posted a video, again, on YouTube. Mm-hmm. There's a spring that I videoed, and it was one of the ones that was capped off, and you can still see the plumbing and piping and stuff on there on the side.
Yeah.
So, but the cool thing is, you had another question about the...
Yeah, I had another question that kind of leads right up. It says, can I sit in some hot springs out in the forest?
And that is a no, right?
It is a no.
No.
The way it is coming out, the way they've utilized it, it comes out at the bathhouses and at the spigots they've got set up around there and the fountains.
Exactly. In the fountains, and you can visit these fountains, but wading in them is prohibited.
Right. If you want to soak, you need to go to a bathhouse.
And on top of that, I think we would not recommend anyone to be deliberately going into them, like coming directly from because it's hot.
Yeah, it's incredibly hot.
You wouldn't be able to last very long in there.
We were there in October, and the steam was just rolling.
It's beautiful, right?
And it wasn't cold there. It was actually, decent weather. I'm pretty sure that we wore short sleeves and stuff.
I think
even with the rain.
I think the coldest it got was in the 50s.
But it was great.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But they, another thing that they ask is.
Another question?
Yeah. Another question they ask that's kind of connected to that is, why isn't there a large pool in the area where a bunch of people can go and be in the hot springs?
Question.
And they talked about the fact that they want to, they are trying to protect that environment. They're trying to protect the history. So, if they put a large pool in, it steals water from the bathhouses, therefore stealing water from a very historic part of this park. So it would end up shutting down the bathhouses eventually. And there's really no good place to put it that doesn't destroy the whole atmosphere, the integrity of the area.
Yeah.
So they didn't put in a big old pool.
I know you and I think the same way. We wouldn't change a thing about what they have there.
Some of those buildings are just absolutely incredible, and to think they might just tear one out to put a pool in, that's depressing.
I was going to say, it makes me want to tear up just thinking of them tearing something like that down.
And us walking up the side of the mountain there.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing from above some of those. I wouldn't want to change a thing.
Gorgeous. I just absolutely love that place.
Give us our history.
In fact, you know what? I've been really itching to go back down there. I know I've said that before, but I'm really seriously itching to go back down there. What other questions?
I have one more for the
hot springs.
For hot springs, and people are like, okay, they're trying to preserve the bathhouses. What is a bathhouse? What do they do there?
That's a really good question.
We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really get into super big details about it. But the traditional bathhouse experience has men and women separated into opposite sides of the building. A bath attendant guides you from the dressing area to the tub bath, then to the sitz bath or vapor cabinet. Then hot packs and cooling area. You may finish with a massage for an additional fee. In years past, the higher-priced bathhouses also provided extra facilities like gymnasiums, music parlors, billiards, and even a bowling alley in the Fortis bathhouse. So pretty fascinating. I think it's really cool stuff.
Well, there's only one, like in the historic bath row area, there's only one that is actually doing the baths. The baths. Quapaw is the only one that you can actually go and buy a spa treatment.
And they were in the process of remodeling one of them. Were they going to start there too?
No, actually, it's going to be a bed and breakfast is
Very
what I
cool.
told. I contact the manager of the Waters Hotel. He told me, he's like, well, that's going to be a bed and breakfast. It's not the Haley House. What was that old Navy TV show that had Ernest Bird?
Was it McHale?
Hale, the Hale House.
The Hale House.
That's it.
Boy, we got there, didn't we?
I had to. I know. I remember every time I saw it, I go, McHale, But then I just couldn't remember for some reason.
Well, I still highly recommend people going to hot springs.
Oh man, you know what? If you guys have been, you're listening to this now, and you've been to hot springs, we'd love to hear your stories and experience with the bathhouse row, all the historical. We want to hear about the hiking trails.
Oh, yeah.
We
everything because we're
all of that.
We definitely weren't in the shape to go do blah 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 blah.
You don't say.
We were not in proper shape to go take a proper hike.
No.
So we would love to hear more about it, and we would love to have
Share
some
it with our
inspiration
listeners, too. Oh,
to
yeah.
get back there sometime and really, really hike.
Totally.
Totally.
So what's next on the Q&A?
People actually had questions about one of our favorite places we went in June.
Oh.
Colorado, Trail Ridge Road.
I love the Trail Ridge Road.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
Trail Ridge Road. Trail Ridge Road.
Steve always likes to reverse it and put Ridge Trail Road, but it's Trail Ridge Road.
It's a part of the national park of the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Right. Where does it start and where does it end?
It starts in Grand Lake. That's south end of the. Well, it can either start at Estes Park or at Grand Lake, right next to the Shadow Mountain Lake, which is a gorgeous area. Highly recommend going through there if we want to stay there at one point or another. I mean, the place is just beautiful.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. And continuing with that, because we're talking about the fact that it starts at either end, we had 2 questions that I'm just going to combine because
Sure.
it just
Go
makes
for it.
sense. Is this a one-way road? If 2-way, which is the best direction to drive? It is not a one-way road.
It's not.
So which way is the best way to drive? Do we know?
No, I don't think there is a better way, or we don't know because we only drove one way. When
I
we
would
went
say
first
the way
time.
we went was the best way.
Would you really?
Because that's the way I know. And because we saw elk and we saw deer and we saw
bears?
bear. Well, I saw bear. Nobody else.
I didn't. I was driving too fast.
Hannah glimpsed it too, didn't she? Isn't
Yeah.
that what she said?
Yeah.
I was too busy going to do anything.
Yeah. But the way we went, we started at the Grand Lakes, and then we went north into Estes Park. And I kind of like that route for one reason only. To end in Estes Park was really a nice ending and conclusion to everything we did. Because you got a lot of places to eat.
And there's it's really a neat experience to come out of the mountains to this town. And
yeah.
I won't lie, it was packed. I don't know if something special was going on that day. There was a lot of people there. But it was really cool coming out of that. And there's this big town.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Well, and it's not like a city. It's a town. And a lot of it
a lot of hills.
Mountains.
Well, I mean, in the town, it's curvy.
Oh yeah,
and it's,
you better get your walking shoes on.
yeah.
But no, it was a really great experience coming out of there and seeing that little town. And
I love the trees. I love the mountainscape.
It was all beautiful, and I mean, like they had the gondola there. And
if
all
you
that
really
stuff.
want a nice look, a vista, if you will, of the mountain range that the Estes Park sits in, go up to the Stanley Hotel. We show pictures of it on our Facebook page and our Instagram.
It's incredible.
And then what else do they call the Ridge Trail?
The
Trail Ridge.
The Trail Ridge Road is also called the Never Summer Mountains.
And there's a reason for that.
They are very limited on the amount of time you can be up there on the actual Trail Ridge Road because it snows so much.
Right.
I think they said 2 or 3 months max, didn't they?
Yeah, I think
season?
it starts in May and goes to July. I think it's like May through July or June through August.
I know that Sean and the kids and Jen went in early September.
Yeah.
And they were talking about possibly going over there. We're like, I don't think you can. I think this is their winter season.
Yeah.
So very incredible place to go, but you do have to be strategic about when you go there.
Yeah, you do. You do. And it's really worth seeing.
It is. I loved Pikes Peak, but I'll be honest, for me, it was my favorite.
Just a little insight. You go over the Continental Divide there at one point. You drive over and you can stay. You can like park there and visit it.
And, and you
can pee on the Continental Divide and see which side it rolls off on. It's great.
I married him.
It rolls over on the east side, just to let you know.
I chose life with him. I'm so proud.
East of the Continental Divide. That's
where Steve's went. Anyway, be glad we're not on TV. Anyway, our last question about Trail Ridge Road is, how much time should we allow to drive the Trail Ridge Road?
Excellent question.
They say actually a minimum of 3 hours because there's a lot to see, and you want to drive it slowly. I'm sure people could zip right through there. I'm not one of them, and even if I lived there for 10 years, I don't think I'd ever be one that zipped through there. But it's mostly recommended, actually, that you give yourself all day. Because there's so many places that you could pull off and go hike around and take pictures.
And there's so
beautiful.
much to see. And the thing is you pay what, $25 to get in, and it's
for one car.
For one car, and it's for all day, and you can stay in there. If you drive all the way to Estes Park, you can drive your way back.
Right, and you don't get an extra charge.
You don't have another charge.
And if you decide there are campgrounds in there. If you decide you want to camp in there for the week, you pay, I think it was $75 for the whole week.
Which where else are you going to be able to find something like that? I mean, that is great, especially for the...
That's not for the camping, of course, but that's admission to a national park that has gigantic elk, bear, deer, everything else. Oh, we saw fox too. I forgot we saw fox.
Oh yeah, we did see fox.
So
ran across the road.
I would love to go camping there some summer.
Oh,
I really would
love to go there
in a camper though, because Sandy's getting old.
Stevie's getting old too.
Plus, I'm scared I'd wake up with a bear looking at me. Want to cuddle?
They smell funny. Bears.
I wouldn't know.
Have you ever been? You've been to a zoo. They don't smell very well.
Zoos smell funny, so anyway.
That's true. You got a good point there. So, but the cool thing about what makes that, outside of the fact that Trail Ridge Road is so gorgeous as far as like what you can see, the nature and the road. It's over 12,000 feet, right? And it's like one of the longest stretches of paved highway.
Right, at that elevation. It's so impressive. And they have their little museum up there, too. And that was really cool. That's when we learned what a marmot was.
Yes.
And what...
Sky pilots.
Yes, the flowers that are fascinating.
Okay. If you get yourself a Sky Pilot, leave it at that elevation.
Yes, don't pick the Sky Pilot up high and take it down low. You'll regret it.
Now, if you want to hear more about our experience there at Colorado... you can go and listen to our podcast, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And you'll hear everything from Colorado Springs to Denver to Estes Park.
Talking about the
Pikes
food,
Peak.
Talking about ghost tours.
We went everywhere.
And still didn't see we saw a very small portion of Colorado.
Very small. And highly recommend it. In fact, it was number 2 on our most downloaded episode.
Yeah. It was really, 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 really popular, which makes me happy because we had a great time going.
I totally would love to go back.
We will.
We'll go back. So what other questions do you have?
You know what? That's all I had on my list.
That's all you have, too?
It is.
I ran out. You know what they need to do? They need to give us questions.
I agree.
And see if we can't answer them.
Keep them clean and we'll put them on there. You got to say that nowadays.
Clean is important.
Keep them clean.
Ixnay on the Eringsway. So this is a family podcast. But yeah, you know what? I think this was an excellent episode.
Was it again?
Yeah. It was an excellent podcast.
It was. I'm so proud of you.
Why are you proud of me this time?
Yeah, you know.
Thank you so much for listening to episode number
77, the one about another Tenderfoot tourist Q&A.
Two Tenderfoot Tourists is a weekly family-friendly podcast. If you like Two Tenderfoot Tourists, be sure to subscribe on... If you like Two Tenderfoot Tourists... Okay, I'll get it. If Two Tenderfoot Tourists... Gosh. Okay, I'll do it.
Maybe.
If you like Two Tenderfoot Tourists, be sure to subscribe on Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. To get in touch with us and chat about this podcast or even your travel experiences, simply email us at tenderfoottourist@gmail.com, or you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Keep those suggestions coming, and maybe you'll give us our best episode of 2019. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Sandy.
Until next time,
stay tender.
Oh, that's jacked up.